All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on FreeSWITCH. You may not have heard of it, but it's the secret engine powering a huge amount of our modern communication.
Have you ever really stopped to think about what's happening behind the scenes when you join a video conference or when you dial a support number? What's the magic that's connecting all those different lines all across the globe? Well, a lot of the time, the answer isn't some expensive proprietary black box. It's actually a super powerful piece of open source software.
And to really get why this software is such a game changer, we kind of have to take a quick step back and look at the communication revolution that made it all possible.
So, picture this. Not that long ago, business phone systems were all about these big, proprietary steel boxes. These old PBX systems were incredibly expensive, they needed special hardware cards, and they totally locked you in to one single vendor. But then, everything changed. Two things happened. Voice over IP let us send voice calls over the internet, and open standards like SIP created a common language for everything to talk to each other. And just like that rigid steel box could be replaced by a standard server running flexible, powerful, open-source software.
And right at the forefront of this new world, that's where we find the hero of our story today, FreeSWITCH.
Okay, so what is it exactly? To put it simply, FreeSWITCH is an open-source soft switch. The best way to think of it is like a software-based traffic cop for, well, all kinds of communication. It connects and routes everything: audio calls, video conferences, even text messages.
And here it is. This is what that engine actually looks like when it fires up. Yeah, it's a command line interface, but don't let that fool you. This is the heart of a system that connects millions upon millions of calls and messages every single day. And it can run on pretty much anything, from massive servers in a data center all the way down to a tiny little Raspberry Pi.
So, what's the secret sauce? What makes this thing so incredibly powerful? Well, it all comes down to its core design, a building block philosophy.
There's this quote from the official FreeSWITCH book that just nails it. The more we build things by small pieces, the more the same underlying resources can be reused. It's all about being modular.
The best way to think about this is like communication Legos. Seriously, you have all these different types of blocks for different jobs. Endpoint modules, those are like the phones and headsets. They connect to things like SIP. Then you have application modules, which are the actions, things like playing an audio file or sending a call to voicemail. And finally, you've got codec modules, which are the universal translators, handling all the different audio and video languages.
So if the modules are the Lego blocks, then the core of FreeSWITCH is like the robot brain. You just plug the Legos you need into it. Want to add video conferencing? Cool. Just plug in the video module. Need it to understand a new audio format? No problem. Just plug in the right codec. It's this beautiful, simple idea of reusability that makes the whole system so versatile.
Okay, so we've got a robot brain and a big box full of Legos. But how does it know what to build? When a call comes in, how does it know what to do with it? Well, that's where the system's rulebook comes in.
This rulebook is called the dial plan, and if the modules are Legos, then the dial plan is the recipe book. It's a set of instructions that tells FreeSWITCH exactly what to do with every call, based on who's calling, what number they dialed, the time of day, you name it.
Let's make this real with a super simple example from the book, Francesca Calls Giovanni. First, Francesca's phone calls into FreeSWITCH. We call that the A leg of the call. Next, FreeSWITCH looks at its dial plan, its recipe book, to figure out what to do. The recipe says to call Giovanni, so FreeSWITCH creates a brand new call out to Giovanni's phone. That's the B leg. As soon as Giovanni answers, FreeSWITCH connects, or bridges, the two legs together, and now they can talk. Almost every single call is just some combination of these legs and rules.
But of course, just connecting two people, well, that's just the beginning. This is where it gets really fun.
We've all heard this, right? This is an IVR, or an interactive voice response system, and building these kinds of complex menus is one of the things FreeSWITCH absolutely excels at.
By just combining these simple Lego blocks and writing new recipes in the dial plan, developers can build some seriously sophisticated systems. We're talking complex IVRs, multi-party video conferences, sending voicemails to your email, integrating text and chat, and, this is a big one, it allows for truly secure encrypted calls using standards like SRTP and ZRTP to keep your conversations private. So it's a powerful, flexible platform for developers. Cool, but why should the rest of us care? Why does this really matter?
Because tools like FreeSWITCH are the invisible engine. They're the hidden foundation for so many of the communication platforms that we just take for granted. They've basically democratized telecommunications, taking the power out of the hands of a few big companies and giving it to developers everywhere to innovate and build the secure, feature-rich tools we all rely on.
And a huge piece of that why it matters puzzle is security. This diagram shows a really key idea. FreeSWITCH lets you build these complex, isolated networks. You can separate your internal, private communications from the public internet, which creates a much stronger defense. It means security isn't just an afterthought, it's baked right into the core design.
So think about it. We've gone from these rigid, locked-down steel boxes to a flexible set of open-source Lego blocks that pretty much anyone can use to build whatever they can imagine. And that leaves us with one final and really exciting question. Now that the building blocks are in everyone's hands, what are we going to build next?